what does saying yes to God even look like? So, us saying yes to God, man, means going against what we believe. Something I say all the time, one of my biggest opportunities is one of my top verses, or a verse that I really like in the Bible, and it's Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5, where it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And many times I lean on my own understanding. There's been many times that my wife calls me out and be like, yo, where's your faith? And it's not necessarily that I lack faith. Maybe I do a little bit, but it's not because I don't believe in God, but it'd be more because I believe in my own understandings. And we got to be careful with that. The book of James talks about that. And he says, you adulterous people, because we put sometimes our own feelings before God's. And at that point, we're being our own idols, and we're putting our understanding before God's, which ain't right. But saying yes to God looks like saying yes to the things that seem impossible, saying yes that, sometimes God puts something in your heart, or God says something to you. Jesus speaks to you directly, what I'm saying, whether it's to your heart, whether it's to your mind, whether it's through somebody else. And we just have a hard time saying yes. We focus too much on the situation, or say, oh, I financially can't, or I don't speak too well, or I just don't have the time, or I don't know what to do, and we got to be very careful with that. See, in the book of John chapter 2, when Jesus shows his deity, for the first time, when there was the first sign, what I'm saying, that same deity that was spoken about in chapter 1 of the book of John, where it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. How the Word dwelt or tabernacled with us and became flesh. What I'm saying? He shows his deity, or who he is, how he's actually God with us, Emmanuel, like it was written about, in the times of Isaiah. What I'm saying? um they were at a wedding, right, and they ran out of wine, which was a big deal then. It was a 7-day thing, and it was important to keep, the right people happy. What I'm saying? And they ran out of wine, and there was no more wine. So Mary goes up to Jesus like, yo, we got no more wine. And Jesus looking at her like, what do you want me to do? Like, it ain't my time yet. In other words, it ain't time for the world to be revealed who I truly am yet. You know what I'm saying? But Jesus, because of his love, because of his love, because of his understanding of how crucial this was at those times, and how much of a great teaching it was going to be to us, a couple thousand years later. What I'm saying? Jesus decides to do the impossible. What I'm saying? And in verse 5, Mary tells the men, what I'm saying, to listen to whatever he tells you to do. What I'm saying? So then Jesus tells them to take water and to fill up these big jars of clay. What I'm saying? I forget exactly how they're called, but these big jars of clay, and to fill them with water. What I'm saying? And to me, that's deep, because it's like, we just think of like, fills them with water, and and it became wine. But the whole point is at that moment, these men didn't decide to question Jesus. They got that direction from Jesus. God told them exactly what to do, and they didn't question it. They didn't look at it. Who knows, man? They might have even thought this man is crazy. What I'm saying? What's this going to do? This water ain't going to do nothing. But regardless what they thought, what I'm saying, they decided to be obedient. What I'm saying? They decided to say yes to God. So they decided to listen to him, and they poured the water into that jar, into that big huge jar of clay. What I'm saying? And which eventually was turned into wine when it was given to the person who was in charge of the party. Forgive me, because I forgot what he's even referred to. What I'm saying? He was so happy, so excited, like, yo, normally the best wine is served in the beginning, but you guys waited towards the end to give out the best wine, which blows my mind. Because and if when how do we apply that to our lives? Is, man, we just got to learn to say yes to God. It don't matter if it seems impossible. See, We may not even know where to go. We may not even know which direction to head, man. We may look in front of us and not even see a flaw there, not even see anything, but we have to walk by faith. We have to believe the word that God is telling us. We have to believe what God is showing us through his word, in revelation, in dreams, however it may be. We got to discern and know the difference of when it's God speaking to us, when it's our flesh, when it's God's voice, when it's God that's putting something in our heart, because if we actually say yes to God, though it may seem impossible, though we may not know how it's going to happen or how we're going to do it, God's glory will be revealed, just like it was in chapter 2 of John. So we got to learn to say yes to God. We got to learn to say yes to God. This is going to show more God's glory. This is going to bring more glory to his name. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. God bless you. Love you guys.